What's up, Savages? Coach Cabrera here to do a little discussion about the future job market. I've been watching a lot of news reports. My news channel that I typically watch is Breaking Points. I really enjoy it. There's two news anchors, Crystal and Sagar. They both kind of discuss politics from their lens. Crystal is more of a liberal, right? She's more of a Democrat. She is a Democrat. And then Sagar is a Republican and more conservative leaning. And they both kind of present the news from their angles and discuss it and talk. It's a really great show. And they've been doing reports for months about mass layoffs. And in addition to like reading my news feed from CNN and Forbes and Fox and actually all the major traditional news media outlets, plus like the stuff that I listen to that's more independent. And some of these reports, they talk about like Amazon, which is currently laying off about 14,000 employees in the United States alone. And they're projected to lose. And I think this was like a secret memo or letter found within company within by like 2033. They're trying to get rid of 600,000 jobs between doing warehouse and I imagine the automation of like the vehicles and the autonomous vehicles that'll be able to drive and things of that nature. And it's kind of wild. And if you look at like China's factories and their advanced manufacturing factories and their advanced warehouses, they have a lot of robot technology there. And I think that's kind of what Amazon is looking to do. And if we look at UPS, who's also, they're getting rid of 34,000 jobs as well. And since the beginning of this year, they have already discontinued leases and or sold 93 of their warehouses and facility. Microsoft has just recently laid off 15,000 people. And a large part of that was from the gaming industry because they're actually lessening the amount of people they use for their gaming consoles and they're kind of exiting the console war. So they're really pivoting on what they're doing regarding the gaming sphere. And I think a lot of that is in part due to some of their AI investment. And we'll get into that a little about kind of what I've been seeing in regards to news reports and kind of my thoughts on the situation. And so like Target has also just laid off 1,800 corporate jobs, which is about 8% of their corporate workforce. And they're planning on losing more people. And they're planning on closing more and more stores, which they've already been doing. And if you look at like even our local Target, it doesn't look great. It's not super stocked well all the time. I think some of these places will be some of those stores. Nestle worldwide has laid off 16,000 people. Procter and Gamble have laid off 7,000 people. And a lot of this is due to investments in AI. And this is not necessarily them already utilizing AI to its full capacity. And I imagine many of these companies that are tied to tech, like Amazon, has versions of AI that we don't even like touch, and some computing power and specifically tailored AIs to industry, things that they do that really help them streamline. You know, ChatGPT is really great for, I would say, the common man and for small businesses and things of that nature. But there's an upscale to the power of AI that some of these companies can use because they invest in, like right now, when we look at some of the tech jobs that are coming out. So the old tech jobs were about a lot about coding and things of that nature. But now coding has changed because for the most part, AI can do basic coding, but you have to sift through that and fix it when you want to do some more advanced and complex things. I imagine I'm not a big tech guy. I like tech, but I'm not a big tech guy in that way. I actually want to bring somebody on the community corner to talk about that. I think it'll be really fun. But when you look at Amazon, they make a lot of their money from cloud storage. And they were doing that for years and starting to construct data centers for years. I've been following this. But now the data centers need more energy because of the amount of storage they're doing and the amount of processing they're doing now, because it's a little different. So these data centers are not like data storage centers where they warehouse hard drives. There are like processing units in these places doing large computation, which uses a shit ton of water. And if you look and you watch news reports, and I'm just going to say Breaking Points is really great because they touch on these things and they do deep investigative journalism and partner with independent journalists like DropSite to talk about some of these data centers and what they're doing across the country in really arid areas. Because I imagine that these companies go to the desert because then they can utilize solar power, but the amount of cooling needed for these facilities, because one, they're also in the desert to cool these processors and these storage devices, these storage hard drives, right? You need to keep them cool. These places need to be cold. They use a lot of water to do that. And that's why you're seeing some of these issues with water usage and the energy costs skyrocket. But a lot of these companies are also investing. And I read a news report and I got to look back at it, but I think Amazon did build like an actual energy facility next to the data center, one of the data centers, but I got to double check that. But that's kind of what is going on. And some of these hirings are going to be a lot less, which they've already said. And the fact is, you're going to need less people to do most of these corporate and administrative jobs. And you're going to see this happen with the school districts already because they have no money because of mismanagement issues and overspending on things that necessarily they don't need. And the managerial staff, due to the advances in some of these automated technologies, are going to have a really hard time justifying their jobs when one person enhanced with AI, because I think that is the route that they're going for a while. These individuals who are enhanced with AI are going to be able to do most of the managerial tasks of, say, 4 people. And as they get better and better, they're going to be able to do more and more people with one. And that's kind of where the job market is going for the corporate world. So you are going to be needing some skills on how to utilize AI to enhance your already critical thinking and creative skills that you have. So yeah, that's one thing. And it made me think about my job at Kane. So I'm currently an assistant coach for wrestling at Kane University for men and women's wrestling. And my big mission and my big goal as a wrestling coach at the college level is to help these young adults get through college for the cheapest cost, like the cheapest possible to get their piece of paper and to get them through the finish line. Because a lot of people do not graduate. I don't have the exact hard stat off the top of my head, but I know the number is actually really surprisingly high. It's really high for young men. Women outperform men in college in regards to like getting into college and finishing. You can look these stats up. I think it's been kind of like that since the 80s, late 70s. Don't quote me. Double check if you want. It's a good, interesting exploration. But now I'm thinking about when I help these young adults get through college, I want to make sure that they have a pathway to get a really good job. I want to be able to advise them a bit that when they come to our program, this is a really student athlete centered program. And I really stress the word of student because at the end of the day, many of you are not going to make money doing wrestling. I love Jordan Burroughs. I think he is a testament to what like a really great model athlete is. But that at the end of the day, I see him at a Manalapan duel doing wrestling with his kids and other kids. And I imagine, although he does run a club, he also donates a lot of his time. And he's one of the 1%ers that actually made money off of his career because he's so excellent and exceptional. But the majority of people are not going to do that. So wrestling is a catalyst towards enhancing yourself and making yourself kind of a more resilient and a better person. And I think doing that throughout and being a student athlete and that athlete part will help you find the right social circles within the school setting that are looking for personal excellence. And when you create your own cohort, and that's kind of why colleges structure some degree programs and cohorts because they want people to feel a kinship with each other as they do something that is supposed to be difficult. And you're supposed to fail and build yourself back up and learn from the failure. And wrestling and doing any type of sport, honestly, will help you finish the degree and get to the finish line. But that puts me down to say, but when we look at Kane University, they actually just instituted a new AI degree field and program. And that's really fast. And I'm really excited because I imagine that program is going to develop and grow, and it's going to get better and better because some of the jobs that they are going to be looking for are people who can actually work with these artificial intelligence systems and make them better and enhance them and tweak them. We are going to need people that when they put these robots in these facilities, and people won't have to do the warehouse work, people are going to need to fix these robots, because before they even get the robots to fix robots, there's going to be a big gap between there, I imagine, because there's only enough natural resources to go around. So when we look at this, we're going to need people who are high-level electricians, people who can work with these machine systems and high-level machines. I imagine colleges are going to need to shift to focus on a lot of programming and utilizing AI to enhance whatever field you're doing, in the same way that they are now utilizing it to help teachers enhance their teaching or kind of understand their craft a little bit better, because kids need also a human connection. That's really important. But if we can help people who are struggling connecting to students by utilizing AI enhancements or allowing them to reach more children, I think that's appropriate. And we're going to see how that goes. It's going to happen. It's not like we can avoid it. But this discussion overall is to kind of reflect on the changing job market, to reflect on the fact that our government has shut down the federal government, causing a lot of federal employees who are working right now. And I don't care what anyone thinks or feels about ICE or what their kind of political stance on that. I view ICE similarly to my job when I was in the military. You think most soldiers enjoyed Iraq and Afghanistan and finding out all the information that came out from here, commissions and things of that nature? No, I don't. And I imagine that everything that ICE agents have to do on a regular basis, which they existed prior to everybody losing their minds right now, I imagine that parts of their job they don't really enjoy, and parts of their job are actually really meaningful, and they help people because there are dangerous individuals that are out, because that's a fact. So I view them in the same way as I view the military. The government comes down with orders, and there's certain things that you have to do, and they are lawful orders, and they're not unlawful orders, so you cannot not do them. So I think of it in that lens. That's just kind of me. Do I agree with the approach necessarily on everything? Not really. But this is what the United States voted for. Moral of the story is you have all of these people, and they are going to downsize governmental jobs because they are going to become more efficient with these AI systems. And they brought in Doge to specifically do that, and to probably collect a lot of information that they can utilize with these big tech companies, as we have a lot of relationships with Elon Musk and with Peter Thiel, who runs Palantir. These systems are really going to ingrain themselves in our society in a really deep way. And I think it's really important that we become more adaptive um, in how we find and view work. We are going to need to shift a lot of our children to work in the trades and to work on rebuilding infrastructure, because the robotics necessary for that are not completely there. And that will take a while. And people will need to do these jobs and fix our infrastructure and add to it, as we need to figure out our energy needs, and all of these facilities need to be built. And I think we can figure it out. We went through the Industrial Revolution, and that was rough. And that changed a lot of jobs. And this will change a lot. And my biggest advice to college students that are coming: understand how to adapt, understand how to do multiple types of jobs, and be a jack of all trades, and kind of specialize in something. You should specialize in something, but broaden your horizons and be a student forever and a learner forever, and embrace AI cautiously. Do not allow it to replace your brain, but allow it to enhance yourself, and allow it to make whatever you're trying to produce that much better for the world. Utilize the internet and your phone to help you connect broader to people and not disintegrate relationships. And remember that it is deeply important that you foster real life relationships within your community, because those are long lasting and important and meaningful. And I think if we push in this direction, and this is just a dude who lives in New Jersey in a town who just works and tries his best. But I think if we connect with each other more and focus on that, we can get past the potential technology dystopian future. I don't think it needs to be that way, but if we come together as a community, I think we can change it. So that's all I have to say today. Stay savage or die trying, friends.